Hi, Roy here on my channel Roy Reads Anything, about old books mainly, and it's GarbAugust. GarbAugust has begun. A reading event, a month-long reading event of reading, celebrating and enjoying the books that people call trashy. They don't know how fantastic they can be and how super entertaining it is to just suspend all critical faculties for a while and read stuff that's been produced, mass produced, probably with no great literary intentions, as entertainment that's promising you something very specific and trying to deliver it. So this is a event created by CriminOlly. There's a bunch of co-hosts, very good, fine, upstanding people who I've listed them down below. I'm one of the co-hosts as well. So happy days. So there are prompts which you can use if you wish, as a just to give you a bit of scaffolding for entering the crazy world of trash. You don't have to, but first couple of I kept them on a nice clipboard, but are they there now? First two prompts: category romance, men's adventure. So I read a book in each of those types this week. The men's adventure book, Sicilian Slaughter, number 16 in the Executioner series, and for symmetry, Sicilian Spring, a Mills and Boon novel romance. So yes, two books with a linking theme. They're more similar than you'd think. So the Executioner is a vigilante character, in a way the sort of daddy of vigilantes, I suppose, created by an author called Don Pendleton. The initial setup is that he's vexed that his family has been killed and otherwise harmed by the mafia. Mac Bolan, a sergeant, army sergeant who's been in Vietnam, takes the battle to the mafia and just goes around shooting them. So normally led by Don Pendleton. There was a brief hiatus when a dispute was happening, so they drafted in a house writer to produce an episode in the series to keep it going, and then Don Pendleton came back. Later on, there are hundreds of these written by all sorts of people, and he sort of morphs into a more general sort of the lone vigilante aspect falls away, and he's more sort of globe-trotting, shooting bad guys kind of dude. And there are about over 600 books in total. But here we are back in the early days, number 16. And it certainly delivers what you'd expect. Everyone gets shot. If anything, it's a bit like, why am I reading this? We know he must prevail, although he does get shot to pieces all the time. He suffers huge injuries. So there's a little bit of jeopardy from that, and sort of how's it going to work? How does he actually get to, obviously he's an outlaw. How does he get to Italy? That kind of thing. From what I can remember of the Don Pendleton novels that I read when I was about 15, this one's a little bit more straight down the line than those were. But, in terms of like turn your brain off, experience the mayhem, follow the point of view character to achieve some sort of definite ends, works really well. So chalked up number one. Now, staying with Sicily but swapping genres, Sicilian Spring by Sally Wentworth is a Mills and Boon novel. So Mills and Boon, pretty much the same deal as Harlequin in other territories. Long-standing romance publisher. So this one it's branded as Island Dreams. So as well as being called Sicilian Spring, it has a little Island Dreams logo, mentions Sicily again. It's also a time when they had this sort of, you get half a heart. So if you get another book, you can have a whole heart. Yeah, that is good, that, isn't it?
Sweet.
Yeah. Now, bear in mind, a lot of people would effectively subscribe to these, so you'd be getting a shrink wrap pack of 6, I think, in one go. So this, they dropped. I don't think anybody was doing this very much, so they changed the artwork again. But as well as being Island Dreams, it's also one of their European romances. So originally branded as Euromances. Big video about that. If anyone's interested.
Lots of people are interested.
They would be if they knew they were interested, but they don't realise it yet. Anyway, yes, Euromances carried on doing this European style. So this came out in 1993. So as well as being a sort of highly genre-contained romance novel, it's also cashing in on the enthusiasm for Europe. That Britain at the time was like, yeah, Europe, we're going to be part of Europe, how fantastic. So you get things like a intro from the editor talking about Sicily being a great country. You get an intro from the author explaining their connection with the country. So part of the shtick of these Euromances is that, you know, not just anyone who's written it, it's someone who knows their stuff. You then get a fantasy style map of Europe. What is this strange place? And you get a map of the country where the book's taking place. It's actually quite handy. Could have done with that in the Executioner. And then in the back you get 6 pages. Welcome to Europe, with the European stars combined with the Mills and Boon logo, and you get a fact file about Sicily as well. But actually quite interesting. Sicily, the garden of Persephone. In ancient times, Sicily was known as the garden of Persephone. It was from here that the beautiful young goddess of nature was abducted by Hades, the terrifying god of the underworld.
It's true.
Each year she was forced to spend 6 months in hell with him, causing our winter. But she was allowed to return to the earth for the rest of the year. When she was released in spring, the wildflowers for which the island is still famous began to bloom. So anyway, yes.
Is Inspector Montalbano in it?
No, Inspector Montalbano isn't. You can imagine him in it.
I'm imagining him in it.
Going back to the author's intro, she went to a readers' party in Sicily. A Mills and Boon readers' party. How cool is that? Yeah, I imagine it's really cool.
It probably is.
Well, you know, are Mills and Boon fans, you'd think they'd be like romantic. Or are they like train spotters? You know, train spotters that don't actually go on the trains. Are they more like Gimlet-eyed obsessives, just focusing on the minutiae? Anyway,
I reckon that one.
So yes, enjoyed this. So Bryony Ferrer's young woman getting over a breakup with her boyfriend Jeff meets a Contessa who she thinks she owns a villa in Sicily that she's going to turn into a hotel. Goes there to work for her to manage it. Turns out she doesn't quite own it. It's actually owned by a rather sinister fellow, Raphael. Sinister, but attractive.
Of course.
And you can kind of see how, and there's, you know, disputes around this hotel and how that's going to work out, and the romance is very on and off again, but there's some quite spectacular sexiness. So yeah, again, does the job. You see, trashy. They don't sort of lure you in with the romance and give you something else. They give you what you're expecting here. Sadly, a stock photo of these two people canoodling. Earlier Euromances, they created special covers relating to the story. What do the two books have in common? Well, let's see. Things in common. Bodies. Yes, there's an obsession with bodies and physicality. Either bodies being shot and wounded, etc., or sort of loved up and attractive. Big house. Yes, they both feature a big villa in Sicily as the sort of MacGuffin of the story, I suppose. Also, in terms of like Sicily-related tropes, sort of family and honour stuff is runs through both of them. They both got a mission. Bryony, mission, get over her breakup with Jeff. Mac Bolan, mission, kill everyone in the mafia. Similar. Again, you get a lot of description of what people are wearing and what they look like. So with the Executioner, you want to be rooting for this hero. You want to know he's like a man in black and he's got his tactical gear and all of that. Whereas in this, you get, again, people's clothes in terms of fashion, why they're attractive. Shootings every few pages. Now, you don't get snogging every few pages. You do in some Mills and Boons. Really, all of that kicks in the second half. But you do get pleasant things, drinks and meals and stuff like that. So you get sensory experiences coming at you quite a lot, in quite a pleasing way.
Does the Executioner one ever mention the whiff of cordite?
No. I think the guy who wrote this had some military experience.
I realised that they hadn't made cordite since about.
No cordite errors.
Good.
They're both forceful. They both have the impressive male character being built up. They both built to spectacular climaxes. So big shootout in this, and the escape from Sicily. In this, and this is where it is, you could see the sort of romantic escapism, nude swimming and lovemaking in the Mediterranean at night, illuminated by a live volcano. The glow that comes from the lava. That's an experience. It's probably an experience you're not having. If you were literally doing that and then you broke off to read this book, I suppose you might think, so what? But for most of us, we're not in that situation, so that's good. See what I'm saying?
Except for people near the volcano.
No, it's slowly lava comes into the sea. It's been doing it for centuries.
Oh!
It's not like, oh my God, there's a volcano going off, let's make love.
Sorry. That was what I'm envisioning.
No.
Quick, let's get to it.
So yeah, good start to GarbAugust. Next week the prompts are Paperbacks from Hell. I've got The Rats by James Herbert. And Vintage Smut, I've got August Heat by Roger Allen. So again, they're not quite so closely related as the Sicilian books. Rounding this off in the new style with a little excerpt from the Crossroads cookbook, particularly from Meg Mortimer's Cookery Advice. When a recipe calls for a raw egg to be added to a soup, do not put the egg straight into the soup. This makes it separate when cooked and little white pieces will float in it. Instead, whip the egg first in a basin, add a small amount of soup to the whipped egg and stir, and then pour the mixture into the saucepan of soup.
Good advice.
And then throw it all away. Okay, back soon with something else. Bye.